for each of our inputs, right? We're going to loop through all of them and check if they're either empty or not, right? So I want to combine all the inputs into a list, right? List is a collection of values, right? So I want to collect all my inputs into a list. So how do I do that? I take this list and I do that. Okay. However, I don't want these default values. Okay. So I have how many inputs? I have 3. I have this one. So I want to take its text. And there's the text. And then I can right click and duplicate it there. And then I can take the password, duplicate, and then this one, I want it to be the confirm password, right? So from here, I want to now do something for each item in this list, do something, right? So I want this to check if there's something in there or if it's null. If there's nothing in there, then we have an error, right? So we are going to do that now. So here's the control. I want to say if. Let me use this one. If, right? If this and okay, yeah. The reason why I want this to be fired when I click on my button, right? So let's just put this there and so that we can see our blocks properly. So when I click on this button, all this logic will run. So I want to check if this variable. So whenever for each item in this list, so this J will not take this value. It will be now to be whatever this text value is, it's going to be assigned to J, then it's going to move to the next one, then it's going to be passwords text. All right. So I want to check J if J is either empty or it's a null. All right. So that requires some logic. I'm going to use this for look. Okay. And then I'm going to use another block. I'll just call it. I'll say there. And then actually duplicate this. Duplicate that. Right. And then I want my variable J. Duplicate J again. And I want to check if J is empty or null, right? So where do I get null? I get null here. And I want an empty text. Okay, so if this happens, I want to see an error. So I'll click on my what's this, my label error, right? I want to set the text to something. I want to say all fields are required. And then what do? I break out of this loop because I have an error. Okay. Else just else in the else block, we can just sign up or proceed with our sign up function. Okay. So let's check it out, right? So we can check it out if it works and run this preview, and if this is empty, and we see that all fields are required. So it's kind of working already. Okay. However, if we look at our blocks here, we see that we have these 2 variables, user ID and user email, and valid input to false. All right. So let's create those as well. So to initialize those, we're going to say it's done up here, initialize variable, and I can say user ID. And I'm going to set it to null. I have a null here, so I'll just right click it and duplicate it and take it there. I'm going to duplicate this as well. I want this to be an app variable. I'll explain to you what app variables are in a second. Also to null, and this one's going to be valid input. Okay, I'm going to take this away and put this in the bin. And I want a true or false. Wait, there you go. Okay. And then from the app variables, essentially, once the person logs out of the screen or they leave the application, then the value is lost. All right. So that's just one way to explain that. But once you change screens, it'll still be there. Okay. Let us continue. So, right. So valid input, right? So if this is a valid input, so if we in here, that means we have a invalid input. So I'll just say, where's my variable? I'll say this one. And then I'll say duplicate that and set it to false because we don't have I want this to be valid input. So we don't have a valid input here. So it's false, right? Break out the loop. Else, if we have one, if we don't enter this to this block, we have a true valid input, and then we can continue. Okay. So let's test this out. Oh, on my computer. Okay. So one. Click it. See, nothing shows up, right? Click it again, nothing shows up. Okay. Let us continue. Now, instead of all this being in this block, right? I want to create a function, and I'll just call you here, and I'll put you there. And then I'll call you validate input. Okay. And then I can now use that somewhere here. I can just call it like that, and we'll do all that. Okay, so now that I've shown you how to use functions, let's continue, right? So now I've done that just to check if there's an empty, if our inputs have been filled in, right? So now let's check if our passwords match, right? So what we're gonna do is we'll put another logic gate or a logic block, and then I think let's put it here for now so that it's, yeah, let's put it here for now, okay? So we're gonna validate. So what happens here actually, which is kind of weird. Actually, maybe I should put it here for now, but if we run this, right, and it's false, it's still gonna continue running that, okay? So maybe what we do instead, I want this just to be there. If do, let's just take this, and if our variable, if we have a true validate input, right? So let's look at that. If our validate input is, so if we have a valid input, it's true, right? Let's continue, and then we can now start doing what we're just about to do. All right, so we're now going to check if our texts, our inputs from our texts, our passwords are matching. I'm just going to duplicate that. They duplicate that they, right? So if they don't match, if they don't match, right, we're going to set our error, duplicate, and say passwords do not match. Okay. And if they do match, let's fire up our Firebase function. And to do that, we go to, where do we go to now? Go to sign in. I call Firebase sign up. And then I put you here. And then I can say show the advanced block. Okay. And what do I want to sign in with? I want to sign in with this, or sign up rather, with that duplicated and put it there, and then change this to password, right? Okay. That's how we use that. And then what I want to say is if on another block, let's do an if else do. If there's an error, we want to show our user the error, right? Duplicate that, then replace the message and put it there. So it will now show the error, okay? Else, what we then want to do, right? So there's no error. We then now want to call the Firebase sign-in function. Remember what sometimes when you sign into when you sign into when you register for something, right? You just get sent to the sign up page, sign in to the home page after you've registered. Okay, so just like before, I want the sign in, and then I want Firebase sign in. I'm gonna put this there, just like before. I want to duplicate that. I want the email, and I want the password. Okay, and just like before, we do another if do else. So you see how kind of easy it is to get a hang of it, right? You're writing blocks instead of lines and lines of code. And then I'm going to say set this duplicate, and hopefully there's no print. I'm just remove this and put this there. It's just to be sure. Okay. Now, if there's no error, what I wanted to happen is, I remember I said we should set the variables. Okay. So let's do that. Where's the set block? There's one. So we duplicate that, and I want this to be the user ID, and I want the user ID from there. to be there. And I want to do this with this, duplicate that. And I want this to be the user email. And I want this to be the text, right? Okay, so now let's go to our Firebase quickly. And then I want to add something here. I want to add users. That's it. Okay. In this application. So I'm going to add users. Okay. And then from there, I now want to set a cloud variable, which is why I did this, because this is in the cloud. So let's do that. Okay. Cloud variable. And if you're familiar with Firebase or NoSQL or document-based databases, you will see what I'm doing. Users, and I want to add my user ID variables. Where is it? User ID, and then stay, and I want to create an object there with fields, right? Just put those there, and I want just 2 fields. And this, let's close this. And then the first field is going to be called the user ID. Second field is going to be the user email. Let's call user email. Okay, and then how do we get those? We get them through our variables. We know our variable is here, user ID. And then I could set my variable, my email. Okay. And then I would now navigate to the home screen. However, we haven't created the home screen, but we are almost there. Almost there. We are almost there. However, actually, let's see. Yeah, we're almost there. And then navigate to the home screen. So all of this, right, could actually be in a function called sign up. All right, but I'll put that there just now. So not only can Thunkable connect to Firebase, you can also connect it to the Google Sheets. So we'll also do that shortly. Okay. And let me create a Google Sheet. Okay, so I've created a Google Sheet, and I want to use it in my application. And this current sheet, right? This is called sheet 1. I'm going to call this users, because I want to use this to store all the users that are added to the application. So we call this user ID. We call this user email. We call this user join date, right? And then we are also going to know this is a blockchain demonstration. We're just going to initialize a balance for the user. Okay? And I think that is all good. All right. So now let's go back to Thunkable. User join date, user email. Great. Let's go back to Thunkable. There. All right. And then we go to the design. We go to data, and we add a data resource. Create new Google Sheets. And all this blockchain demonstration app. All right, I'm going to select the sheet. Hopefully it'll show my sheet. There we go. And then we're going to create. Add it. All right. So that one. Okay. And then from there, let's go back to our blocks. Okay, we should check